manja, manja. Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back to another episode of the Bird's Brain Podcast, presented to you by How You Doing Media. I totally noticed in the last episode, I think it was like the last couple episodes, I haven't said that it's presented by How You Doing Media, and I'm probably going to get in a little bit of trouble for that. But, you know, at the end of the day, to me, that's a little bit nonetheless. I can handle that because you guys don't have to, like, be a part of that situation. But, first of all, what I want to talk about is, like, at the end of the day, I'm one of those people, like, you can call me like you being, I don't even know what to call it, so I'll just explain it. But here's the situation is, at the end of the day, I'm the type of person, you know, my personal hygiene is something that I'm very adamant about, you know, showering, brushing your teeth, making sure you smell good, making sure that your clothes are clean, stuff like that, you know. I obviously know that I have on the same shirt from an episode before, or literally the previous episode to this one. But it's only because I wore this shirt for like 45 minutes and then I threw it back into the closet, and I got it back out because I was like, right now as I'm recording, I just took my laundry to get my laundry done, whatever. And so I have no shirts, and so this was the one that I was like, okay, this one, you know, it fits properly, so I'm going to wear it in the episode, whatever. And just now realized, like, reviewing the footage from the past episode, I have on the same shirt, so whatever. But this conversation, you know, I'm talking about, like, my hygiene and all that stuff. One of the biggest things for me is, like, I don't know if you can really see it, but here's the situation. I'm very, like, it's a pretty big deal to me to look clean, to look nice, to be the guy that's, like, presentable 24/7, you know, besides when I'm at work or whatever, because I'm at work getting dirty, yada, yada. But outside of it, in my regular day-to-day life, you know, I like to be presentable. And I'm at the point now where, like, my hair, I don't know. I want to get closer to the camera, but I don't want to, like, make you claustrophobic. My hair is to the point where it's like fully growing over my ears. If you can see, it's growing over the top of my ears, and that's one of my biggest pet peeves is my hair being over my ears, and the front's too long, and the back's getting too long, and I just don't know what to do with it. I need a haircut. I really do need a haircut at the end of the day. But, like, I don't know. One, I don't know what, like, haircut I want, because, you know, like, you could go, my go-tos most of the time are, like, buzz cut, or the high and tight, or, like, getting it faded up here, burst fade, whatever it is, or you could go, like, I've gone down a road before and went and, you know, got a perm when my hair was super long and grew that out, whatever, nonetheless. But I'm, like, to the situation now, I'm like, I really need a haircut, but I don't know if I want to go get a haircut, because I want to be presentable, but I don't. People tell me my hair doesn't look that bad. Like, my hair is fitting, whatever. But I'm like, for the past couple of days, it's been bugging me because it's getting to the point where it's long enough now, and I'm like, I need a haircut, but I don't have the time to go get the haircut between, you know, working my regular day job and then doing the media company stuff on the side, and then all of it in between. I just don't have the time. And I think at the end of the day, like, probably Friday this week, I'll go get a haircut and we'll be good. And, you know, 2 or 3 episodes from now, you'll see me with, like, short hair or curly hair or whatever I end up doing to it. And I'm sure somebody will say something about it. But nonetheless, in today's episode, I really honestly didn't have a lot to talk about. But I knew for a fact that I needed to, you know, come up with something. Don't beat a dead horse. Don't talk about something that you've already talked about, because it's so easy as, you know, a filmmaker to want to recreate the same thing but from a different perspective and talk about it differently and all these things. And you sit down and you tell yourself, when, you know, you're going over the script, you're going over the schedule, you're going over the things you want to talk about, and you're like, okay, we've already talked about this, but now it's just a different perspective. The people aren't going to like that as well. And I know at the end of the day already, it's me rambling on for 45 minutes to an hour about something, and a lot of the topics I just beat I just beat them up. You know, I talk about them to the point of where we're like, okay, move on to the next thing. It's getting annoying at this point. But this is where I'm at. Today, I wanted to be just, I'm not the greatest at giving advice. One, I'm not greatest at being motivational, but I will say there has come a few times in life where I've had to be a little bit motivational, give a little bit of the advice, be the guy that sits down with my buddies and is like, okay, my buddy's having a hard time, so we're going to have this heart-to-heart conversation. And, at the end of the day, we come out on top. We come out feeling better than we did before. And it's just that, like, sense of just almost taking life back like you deserve it. And the biggest thing for me is that you have to understand that at the end of the day, I tell one of my buddies, I'm like, hey, I don't want to out him like this. I'm not going to name. Hold on just a second. Anyways, I tell one of my buddies, and obviously I'm not going to name drop. It's a situation of, this is going to stay anonymous, but, he knows I'm talking about him. And, I can be the same way as well. But one of my buddies is, not the most confident person in the world. And there's times where I'm not either. And that's something you just have to work towards. But what I tell him all the time is, like, he'll ask me the question and be like, bro, how do you do the things you do? How do you live the life that you do where you're just so talkative and you can talk to anybody and conversations, you can strike it anywhere and everybody loves you and it's just, you are the fullest person in the room and, life just seems so great for you. And I always tell him all the time, I'm like, you're the bystander watching me. I don't know these things in the moment. When I am in the moment in these situations and then you tell me this after, I'm like, in that moment, I didn't feel like anything special. I didn't feel some type of way that I'm like, okay, this is my life. That's so cool all of a sudden. It was just, it's just me being me and not to be like egotistical and be like, I got these people saying I'm like the greatest guy in the world and I'm just so cool and all this. But it's like genuinely at the end of the day, I guarantee there's somebody in your life that you're like, man, just everybody just loves that guy. And I tell people all the time, like, I'm the guy that if I need to say the wrong thing at the wrong time, you can count on me to say it because I will literally say anything. It is not an issue for me. I don't have a bone of embarrassment in my body. And that's just the way it works out for me. But I tell him all the time, I say straight to his face, dude, you just have to be so full of yourself that that's what you believe. And it's not a situation of like you're full of yourself so you go on to tell, an X amount of lies to get yourself seem interesting and all this blah, 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 blah. But it's like you just, you're full of yourself. You're not making yourself seem or look cooler than you are, but you're carrying yourself in the way that people just find it interesting. It's not, oh, that's just, it's like NPC. It's like, oh, that's, just another guy that's enjoying his life, whatever. It's like, no, this guy, like, I want to be around this guy. He's having fun. He's being able to talk to all these people, whatever. And I think at the end of the day, that just is my, how do I even put that? It's just my personality. The way that I am is just being able to chop it up with anybody, being able to have a conversation, being able to just relate on some type of level. And I think half of it has to do with enveloping myself with a lot of things, a lot of topics, a lot of controversy, I involve myself with a lot of things in life. So, other people that have interests, I may know something about it so I can relate to them and have that conversation. But I tell them all the time, I'm like, hey, you just, honestly, you have to be full of yourself. And it's not a bad thing for me. I look at it as not being a bad thing because I'm full of myself. I don't ever sit down and ask myself, like, why should somebody deserve to talk to me? Because, if I'm standing next to somebody I don't know, I'm going to be the first one to say something. I'm going to look over at them and be like, hey, how's your day going? And, you can always read the room. You can always read the conversation as soon as it starts out. If they're, not in the market to talk, you're going to be able to tell within the first 30 seconds of the conversation. But that's just the way that it works out. Okay, hold on just a second. I'll be right back. All right, I think this is the episode, this is the episode where I do, there's a lot of cuts because I've got so much going on. Okay, anyways, back to what we were saying. Being full of yourself. But also in the same time, it's like, when did we get to the point where it was so hard to have a conversation with somebody that you know or you don't know or that you want to know or whatever? You know, back to a conversation we've had in the past. One of my favorite YouTubers, Casey Neistat, he lives in New York City, where they've literally packed 9 million people into I can't even remember how big New York is, but you get the point. It's 9-10 million people squeezed into New York City, and if you know New York City, you know how small it is. It's, oh my God, my foot itches so bad. It's a place where it's a small place, so there's a lot of people that know a lot of people, and you're going to run into a lot of new people. And he is the type of person, he can talk to anybody. But also at the same time, we get into the conversation of New York City. You say, hey, they say that some of the rudest people live in New York City. But if you genuinely watch those videos, those look like the nicest people in the entire world. You can chop up a conversation with anybody in New York City. And I think at the end of the day, my personal opinion is, that happens all across the country. That's not just New York City that you see that happening. Even in my small little city that I live in, that still happens. And if it's only me doing it, you might encourage somebody else to do the same thing that you're doing, chop up a conversation with somebody that you don't even know. At the end of the day, I see it this way, and it's one of my favorite times of the day on Sunday. It's one of the coolest parts, I think, of my church experience, and I give them a lot of props. And there's quite a few churches out there that do it. I wouldn't be surprised if the majority of churches do it. But when you walk into my church on a Sunday morning, before praise and worship has started, before we've done the announcements, before we've done anything that has to do with church at all, there are people fellowshipping. And there's a countdown timer on the big screen, obviously, to tell you, like, hey, this is when praise and worship and the announcement's going to start. This is when you're going to need to be in your seats so we can all, do this thing together or whatever. But then when we get through the announcements, that's when they give us the opportunity to stand up and greet those around us. And is that how you get up and greet those around? Get up and greet those around you. Like you're in the pews and you get to get up and talk and meet people around you, and you never know, there could be somebody new behind you, so you get to say hi to them. How are you doing? Whatever. And also you get to see the people that you know and chop it up with them for 2-3 minutes while we're doing that. And then, we go and we sing praise and worship songs, and then you can fellowship with people after church, whatever. But I think that at the end of the day is just, I have met so many people, and they probably don't even remember me. It's cool at the end of the day. But for whatever reason, my brain remembers them. And it's like, Sundays are my time to have a conversation with a new person at church. And I'll be honest, sometimes I don't have conversations with new people. Sometimes I just shake like 3 people's hand and then I stand there. Because I don't want to have a conversation with them that day. Because I'm just like, sometimes I just woke up because I like to sleep, okay? But that's where, get back to the conversation. In those situations, I'm full of myself. Because some would say, do I deserve to talk to those people? Probably not. Because they have no idea who I am. They don't know what I'm about. They don't know anything about my life, whatever. But at the same time, why are you asking yourself that question? Talk about the people in New York City, 9-10 million people. They say that the brain can only remember, I think it's like roughly like 1,500 to 2,000 people at one time. So it's always a revolving door on meeting a new person and forgetting an old one. And then when you remember that old person, you forget another one, whatever. But you're just always telling yourself, like, sometimes, I get a lot of people and they're like, oh, just stick to myself, don't talk to a lot of people. And then there's me over there, and I'm like, a group of 15 people, and it's like, how y'all doing? Hi, and I'm just chopping it up. But I guess it's because I'm full of myself, and that's why I tell everybody else. That's why I tell my buddy, I'm like, just be full of yourself. But also at the same time, I feel like you kind of owe it to yourself. Because those connections matter. I always tell guys, especially the ones I'm friends with now, I got a couple guys that help me with the business, and they do some filming and all that stuff, blah, 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 whatever. But I always tell them, I say, you could be possibly one handshake or one conversation away from the greatest opportunity of your life, and you have no idea. Because it's happenstance, it's chance, it's taking that leap of faith. And a lot of times we have to take plenty of leaps of faith in our life Because if you don't, you get stagnant, you stay in the same spot, and you don't grow as a person. So all of these things, and I mean, like I said, I'm not motivational. I can lose my spot in the conversation a lot, whatever, and beat a dead horse on the conversation. But the main facts, the main thesis, the main whatever summary of what I'm trying to say here is this. Society gives you this idea that if you don't know someone, you shouldn't talk to them. Mind your business, keep to yourself. But me as an extrovert, I tell you, don't mind your business, learn new things about new people, and go out into the world and see. There's people of different culture. There's people of different ethnicities, of different ways of life, however you want to put it. And to me, it is honestly, at the end of the day, so interesting because I live my life one way. And I can tell you that 2 blocks down, somebody else might live their life a completely another way. And I'm so interested in understanding why that is. Understanding, like, why, I have my morals and my moral compass and my expectations for life and all that. But somebody else has different expectations and moral compass and rules and regulations to their life or whatever. And I want to know why. I want to know why yours is different than mine. And maybe we can relate on it a little bit. So then we can have that conversation even more. And then I literally get to know somebody that I don't. And sometimes my job helps with that because, working in the oil field, you go out to a different oil field location every single day, or sometimes you go back to the same one day and the next day, and then maybe for a week straight, whatever it is, but you're always meeting new people. And I have to talk to these guys because I'm working with them. I have to be able to grab their help essentially and have them help me help them help me do my job, if that makes sense at all. It's like, I got to talk to them to help me be able to achieve my job, but also to help them understand how to help do my job, whatever, blah, blah, blah. And so, like I said, I'm not motivational, but I feel like, we owe it to ourselves to know the interesting facts about other people and just the different ways of life that there are, the different perspectives to life that there are. And, at the end of the day, it just, honestly blows my mind because of the way that I've seen people. I will go out into public and see some people give the nastiest, dirty looks. And I always wonder to myself, first is like grace and forgiveness aspect. Like, what is it that you see that you are judging? Why am I not getting the grace and forgiveness? Because I'm living my life a different way than you are. But also at the same time, what is the dirty look for? You know nothing about me, but I'm interested in essentially understanding that at the end of the day. And so I'm going to be honest, sometimes people give me dirty looks and I pinpoint that and I see that and then I go out and I'm like, hey, how are you today? Or I'll give them, Jesus loves you. How are you doing today? Oh, I'm good. Thanks for asking. Whatever. But the main point of all of these, this whole deal is like, one, you owe it to yourself to understand the interesting parts of other people's lives, but also because you need to be full of yourself and meet new people, do all these things, be interesting, have a good life. Don't waste it sticking to yourself and being boring. We work so hard for all of these things in life, and there's people out there that want to keep it to themselves. Most generally, that's not me. There's a couple I'm not gonna let you wear my clothes or anything. That's a little odd. But why do you feel the need to stick to yourself all of a sudden? Bounce off of this motivational episode because I'm not. I will say this. Okay, before I get into anything else, I will say this. My favorite person of all time, like motivational-wise, is Matthew McConaughey. I've watched so many of his podcast clips and so many of his motivational speeches and everything that he's said in his life, because I relate to it on a level somehow. I can't really fully explain it, but I relate to him in some sense, okay? Not like we had the same childhood and we grew up the same way. I'm not an actor, obviously. I'm more interested in being the director of this film, so whatever. That's nonetheless. He is, and like right now, let me insert some clips. I'll play some clips.
So I want to ask you, can you admit something in your life that you don't feel like you deserve or have earned? Can you admit a goal or a dream that you want to chase, but you're feeling like, nah, I can't fly that high. I'm not equipped. I don't really have the ability. I'm not qualified. Can you admit something in your life that guilt is keeping you from getting? Can you admit something that you don't want to start, continue, or finish because you're afraid to? Say it aloud to yourself. Write it down. Confess.
I think I'll try it out. No, think if you're going to try it out beforehand, but when it's time to go, dive. Finish it. Find out. Come out the other side. Don't leave it and go, ooh, if I just would have. That keeps me up at night. I think it keeps a lot of us up at night. When you half-ass something and you just don't know whether you failed or succeeded, got what you want or didn't get what you want. Finding out and looking in the mirror and going, I didn't half-ass it. I went all the way. I found out, and that ain't for me. Or I found out, and you damn right that is for me. That's a great place to get to.
I didn't want to keep forgiving myself on Sunday and then repeat and do the same again Monday, Tuesday, Friday, and then go, oh, now I can be forgiven. I was like, no, man. Forgive me, Father. I know what I'm doing, and I keep doing it. Cut the quit giving yourself that out, that parachute, even though you may have it. Even though word says grace of God will forgive you. Yep. I need to strong arm myself, put my damn hands on the wheel, look in the mirror and go, it's on you. Because it is. And I was like, time to become a man. Walk forward, peripheral vision. Get it. Own yourself. Walk forward with more courage and start becoming the man you want to be instead of acting like it and putting it off.
And, if I can get away with showing those and it not, like, get it, like a write-up or whatever. I don't, community guidelines, whatever. I don't know how it works, but the thing for me that's most important is the fact that a lot of the times this man is telling you that you owe it to yourself. Do it. Get out there and live the life that you deserve. Do all of these things. Don't sit around on the sidelines watching everybody else have all the fun when all you have to do is take 2 steps forward to get on the field and have just as much fun as everybody else. But sometimes we sit aside and we say, oh, life's just a little bit too hard because we've got a little bit too much going on. Those 2 steps are really hard to take. My feet seem a lot more heavier than they actually are. And then we sit aside and we just, miss out on so much life. And that's where sometimes I get aggressive. I get upset because of how simple it seems. And a lot of people's issues with understanding and experiencing life is a money issue. And I just tell everybody all the time, I'm like, hey, set aside a specific amount every single month. So in 6 months, you can take a trip to experience all these things, whatever. And then at the end of the day, you will love life so much more because you got to experience so much. But nonetheless, after all of that, I want to say this. And, this, for me, has affected a lot of people around me. And I'm going to make a hot take claim here before I get into everything. Because I've been through the fire. I've been through the storms. I've been through all these things just like everybody else. And I get nervous talking about it because it's a situation that really doesn't sit well with me. because, again, I get aggressive. I get upset. I'm very passionate about this because I believe so steadfastly that this is not an issue of brain chemical, of the way that you feel, of what you surround yourself. It's all mindset, and it's, being down on yourself. It's having depression. It's whatever. At the end of the day, you can have the mindset that this is researched by doctors and the diagnoses are real and the brain chemicals are all messed up, blah, 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 whatever. I can take that into account. I really can at the end of the day, because I understand that, these doctors, they're smart people. They're way smarter than I'll ever be. They went to school. They've studied it. They know whatever. But at the same time, I don't agree, for the simple fact that I've sat in a doctor's office before, and I've had a doctor tell me that I have anxiety or depression or ADHD, or, I need to eat more because I'm going to develop an eating disorder, of all these things, whatever. I've been to the doctor plenty of times to have them tell me bad news about, we're going to put you on this medication. Granted, I've never been on anxiety or depression meds. I've just been on ADHD meds, but it regulates all of it at the end of the day, if we're being honest. Let's not kid ourselves. But I've had these doctors say, we're going to put you on this medication. We're going to put you on this, a much higher of a dosage, this much lower of a dosage, and it's going to help fix you. And I can confidently say at the end of the day, it does not work. It absolutely does not work, and it completely drowns the effects of emotions. It heightens and dulls the senses to have emotions exponentially, to the point of one day you could be feeling the feeling so hard that you can't even get out of bed, and the next day you feel like you feel on cloud 9 to where you could accomplish the world. And ever since I've been off those medicines, it's one of those things where I've been able to self-regulate myself to feel good 24/7, to be able to find the happiness in life. It's like I tell people all the time, and one person in specific, there is something good. Something good comes out of every single day. Whether you have the worst day of your life, there is something good that comes out of it. And that's just the fact of the matter. Because you could have the worst day of your life, but you could turn around. You could still turn around and say, at least God woke me up. At least God didn't let me die today. At least I made it another 24 hours. After everything that's happened, at least I made it another 24 hours. But the one thing that I say about this that I don't agree with at all is that people say this is a chemical imbalance in the brain, and whatever the studies, whatever, blah, 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 whatever. I can tell you this, and this is my hot take. I believe that depression and anxiety is 1,010% not a mental disability, but a mental mindset. It's the way that you think, because we can understand how easy it is to get out of that depressive state. One of my favorite times, or one of my like greatest experiences, is the Sunday Scaries. And if a lot of people don't know what the Sunday Scaries is, it's a situation of you'll be scrolling on TikTok or Instagram or whatever, watching the dumb videos on your phone, and then all of a sudden the algorithm flips and it's sad videos 24/7, and it puts you in that state of mind where you're just depressed. You're just ready to give up, and what's the point of life? Why am I doing all of this? Whatever. It's the Sunday Scaries, and that's my favorite. Right now, I hope, because today is Sunday while I'm recording this, I hope that I get done with this. I go in there to watch TikTok, and I hope that I get the Sunday Scaries for this matter. One, it being a mindset. Depression and anxiety is a mindset. For the simple fact that when I'm in my Sunday scary mood, the favorite part of that is when I come out. Is when I come out of the end of the tunnel towards the light, and I reach that light, and I'm like, okay, yeah, I can conquer life again. Because it brings me back. It brings me back down to earth. It allows me to understand that my life is a little bit more precious than I thought it was. Because I got to sit there for 15, 30, 45, an hour, 2 hours, however long, and just tell myself, what is the point? Why is this all? None of it matters. And then when I sit back and I look, and I finally put the phone down and I look forward to what is to come tomorrow morning, my first breath of the morning, being blessed by Jesus to wake up another day and understand that every single day is a new day for opportunity. And that's why I love it so much. Because the 15 to 3 hour time period that I'm so down on myself, when I reach the end of the tunnel, I'm going to feel better about myself. Because I know that once my mindset flips, the way that I'm feeling, the way that my brain is telling me to feel in those moments, once that flips, I could probably run a marathon 3 times in the next 24 hours. That's just the way that I see it. And there's a lot of people, I always have this conversation. They're like, oh, that is probably one of the hottest takes I've ever heard in my life. Depression's not, the way that you're talking about it, it literally is explaining itself as a chemical imbalance in your brain. And I'm like, okay, that's fine. But stop calling it a mental disability. Stop calling it something that it's not. It's a situation of telling yourself that you believe in yourself. That you, again, owe it to yourself. That, again, you need to get up and you need to work hard. You need to step back and prove to everybody around you that no matter what happens, no matter what you go through, what traumatic experiences, what people have to say about you, all those things that are negative and demeaning, that none of them matter. Because for the 45 minutes that I get to be down on myself, it gives me the motivation at the end to turn around, look at myself, and go, no, my life is still full of opportunity. My life is still so fun, and my life is just so amazing because I'm blessed. Because one, I'm a follower of Christ. I believe in the teachings and the thoughts of Jesus Christ. And I can recognize that every single day that he allows me with, breathing, whether I understand when I take my first breath of the morning that I'm blessed to be awakened by him and enjoy this day full of opportunity, whether I'm able to say that and recognize it first, it's still there. It still happened. And so you owe it to yourself. You really do at the end of the day. Depression and anxiety is a mindset. Just like, at the end of the day, every single other emotion is a mindset. It's the way that you feel. It's what your mind is telling you to feel. And a lot of times, you feel those emotions and they come from the heart. And it's so crazy to me because let me grab a water and I'll correlate this for you because we're to the point of the episode where I'm getting my Jesus moment. All right, so here's the situation. I've got my water. Mouth's dry. I took a drink, whatever. But here's where we're gonna take the correlation. We're gonna get the Jesus moment. I'm gonna figure this out for you. Okay, we're gonna think this out together because another one of my hot takes is this right here. And sometimes people look at me and they're like, "You are crazy," and the conversation goes like one of two ways. They're like, "Oh yeah, that totally makes sense," or "Dude, you're crazy. This makes no sense." But it's just a correlation that I think I get at the end of the day for things like this that happen. And for me, it's emotion 101. It goes a little bit like this. At the end of the day, we have the conversation of what is the point? What is the point and how do you come to know Jesus? And first, it starts at the heart. It starts at the heart generally, most of the time. You get into the conversation, they say, how do you accept Jesus Christ? You accept him into your heart. You accept him into your life. You accept him to who you are and what are you. Theoretically, at the end of the day, it all starts at the heart because the heart keeps the body alive. And at the same time, turn around and say, where do most people say that you feel your emotion from? From your heart. It's with what is in your heart. You're feeling that emotion because that's the way your heart feels. Because your heart is the one that runs the body. Your mind is the one, and it always says it in the Bible too. It says it says in a roundabout way, the mind is deceitful. Man is wrong, essentially. So then I correlate it and I say this at the end of the day. If Jesus is the one that wants your heart, then why is it all of a sudden that I stop feeling these depressive style emotions? Sadness, depression, anxiety, worry, cowardness, all of the negative emotions, I don't feel them as much after I've come to know Jesus, after I've accepted him into my heart, after I've let him transform me into the person I am today. Because I'm going to be honest, there's a lot of times where I kind of gave it up now, but I really probably should get back into it because I did enjoy it, but I just felt, a perspective shift changed. But I used to have a TikTok where I did reviews of Bible verses and it was Bible with Bird, and I did the TikTok thing where I talked about the Bible, whatever. I had a perspective shift. But it was in those moments when I started creating those TikToks that I stopped feeling, I couldn't tell you honestly. Like I know earlier I said like, oh, I hope that I go get the Sunday Scaries when I'm done with this. But I can't tell you the last time I've genuinely had the Sunday Scaries where I've genuinely felt a bad emotion, where I've genuinely felt sad or anxious or worried or whatever. Stress for me is not an emotion that I think is negative, because stress for me is good. When I'm under a lot of stress, I feel productive. I feel like I'm doing a lot. I feel like I'm achieving a lot in life. But back to what I was saying there is, we can correlate all those things. And I'm going to be honest with you, I couldn't put it into the right words to tell you in one sentence how those two come together cohesively and they work out. But I can say this. If Jesus wants your heart and your emotions ultimately at the end of the day come from the heart, I don't think there's any possible way that you could be a sad human being if you genuinely are in love with Jesus and accept him into your heart. And let me honestly at the end of the day be a testament to that, for the simple fact that I can't tell you how do you say that? I can confidently tell you that since I have genuinely met Jesus, genuinely accepted him into my heart, I have not had that overwhelming negative emotion within my life. And I will say, like, you could probably search on the internet somewhere through a video or whatever, then I'm like, oh, today was a bad day, whatever. But that was only because of stress. That wasn't because of the genuine emotion of sadness or the genuine emotion of whatever. It's because I was overloading myself with work so much that, I just like, hey, all of a sudden I need a break. So I can get my head back straight to like focus on the objective of what's going on. And, I think about a time as well as I talk this through about the podcast episode where I said that, I can't feel Jesus. And it's not a situation of that. Looking back now, can I say that I didn't feel Jesus? Yes. But at no point in time did I tell myself that I'm sad by that fact, because I knew that it would come back. I knew that I would be in the position to come back. He would still accept me back in those situations, in those circumstances, whatever it was. But I genuinely felt no sadness. And you can say, like, at the end of the day, the internet's going to talk so much, and they're going to say so much, and but you look this way and that. But it's like, that's not the genuine emotion that I felt. Once I talked the things through, once I said them on the podcast, once I said these things on video, on a TikTok or whatever, I felt fine again, because it was more stress because of how much I overload myself with work. And then I can also say at the same time, sometimes I don't fully know how to feel my emotions because of the heightened senses I have towards my emotions sometimes, and the dullness I have towards emotions because I don't like to feel them sometimes. It's all these things that just come into play, and you say it. But I can confidently say now, like, I haven't had a bad day. And I would hold myself to that. But it's only, I give full credit not to myself. I give my full credit to Jesus. And it's only because I've truly accepted him into my heart. There was a point in time, and this is kind of a personal story, but there was a point in time where I sat in church on Sundays because I was so upset with myself, because I wanted to know Jesus. I thought I knew Jesus, and I sat there and I told myself during communion during times of worship, praying and saying, I want to be able to live the life where the only thing I can think about is Jesus. The only thing I want in life more is to be a better person for Jesus. I'm going to church. I'm doing all of these things, but I'm not following through on being a good person because I had the wrong idea of what Jesus was at the time. And then when I fully accepted him into my heart, I fully understood, started reading my Bible on my own, and understood exactly what was expected of me, needed of me by him. That's when my life got so much more simpler. I stopped feeling the emotions that I didn't want to feel. I started feeling the emotions that I do want to feel, and life has been so much better since then. You know, you have your off days and whatever, blah, 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 beating the dead horse again. But I just think at the end of the day, that's the ultimate answer. And I think that's why, you know, I have so many conversations with atheists and Jews and Muslims and Hindus and whatever, who these people are with their choice of religion. Like we covered it before, I don't call myself religious. I call myself a follower of Christ because that's what he expects. But at the end of the day, they always ask me why I think that's the answer. And that, in my roundabout way, is why. Because when I came to know Jesus, my life didn't become easier. It got more difficult at times. But I never felt a negative emotion. I have never felt a negative emotion since. And like I've said before, you have your days, whatever. Swipe on past it. It is just a situation of feeling that love from the heart. Man, that just blows my mind, being able to like talk through things like that, understanding that, you know, at the end of the day, I feel sometimes as people, we genuinely complicate life so much. And I think sometimes we complicate it just because we want to complicate it. Whether it's plans or talking to someone or whatever, however it is, we complicate life a little bit too much. We take it too serious at the end of the day. You know, at the end of the day, for what? For what? Why do we sit here and complicate things and tell ourselves that, you know, this moment that we're in is so volatile and it's a life-defining moment, and if I don't figure this out, I'm gonna be stuck in this position and I'm never gonna be able to. And then you get in the conversation, and then all of a sudden, life gets too much, and it seems so serious. But for what? You know, at the end of the day, for what? Stop. I used to tell people all the time, and I got away from it because it was an intense thing for me to tell people. But I was like, people would get up in arms and they would start having a bad time with life, whatever. And I would look at them and I go, why are you making it so serious? Why are you complicating things so much? Why are you doing all of these things to make life so volatile when it's not? When you could just step back and live life. Stop telling yourself that this is a serious situation that needs to be handled with seriousness 24/7. Because it doesn't. Have fun in life. Be the person that just, you know, goes through the hoops. Wow. Goodness gracious. Be like, I mean, I'm not telling, stop. Don't fully be like me. I should not. I'm glad I stopped myself, but you shouldn't fully be like me. Don't fly by the seat of your pants 24/7, because sometimes I get myself in a pickle and you got to figure it out. But I'm good at figuring it out a lot of times. But nonetheless, stop making life so serious. It just, man, it blows my mind at the end of the day. Have so much fun. You know, if I got to give like 3 pieces of bad advice here, not bad advice, but advice that I can give in the best way possible, without over-explaining myself, without saying too much. Here's what I got to say. 3 things. 1, don't overcomplicate life. Keep it simple and always have fun. Number 2, love Jesus with all of your heart. Accept him into your heart. Start living the life that he wants you to live, because it gets more complicated and more simple at the same time. And you will never, ever, ever in your life feel better than when you're loving Jesus, when you're in love with Jesus and have that personal relationship with him. And 3, man, that's a toss-up between so many things. But I think my main one is just always work as hard as possible. If you're passionate about something, if you're the type of person that can get it done, and you can get it done the way that I think you can get it done, because, through a screen right now, I'm going to tell you, I don't care who you are. I don't care who it is that's watching. If you were to talk to me and tell me that you were passionate about a certain dream or a certain goal or certain something in life, I would tell you that you have my full 100% support. Obviously, if it's legal and all that. But nonetheless, it's a situation of believing. And if there's no one that will believe in you, allow me to be the one person that does. Because I believe that anybody can set their mind to something, work hard every single day to achieve their goal that they're passionate about, their dream that they're passionate about, and succeed. Because at the end of the day, I'm a living testament to that. All three of those things. I pride myself in being the person that has personal testimony in those things. One of my greatest things was finally, and I made a TikTok about it the other day on my personal account. It was you look in the mirror at some point in your life and you tell yourself enough is enough and you just get it done. Because I was tired of not following my dreams. I was tired of sitting around and being like, man, I wish one day this would work out, but not doing the work. Not being determined enough to be the person that sat down and grinded and did the work, overloaded myself and said, I'm going to get this done one way or another. And I'm fighting for my dream. I'm fighting for my passion, and I'm doing what I love. Involving myself with the one thing that is going to keep me going, that is going to give me hope for life, that is going to continue to teach me so many things. And at the same time, within all of it, my love for Jesus, understanding how much he can change me, understanding that, nowadays, man, if I got to be proud of myself on one thing, it's I love people. I used to be like, don't ever talk to me. Don't ever, no, I'm not here for small talk. I'm not, nothing. But nowadays, I'm quick to love. I'm quick to conversate. I'm quick to involve myself in other people's lives because of the way that Jesus has changed me. And I fully believe that, he is the truth. My foot really, really itches. Anyways, all of those things, guys. I mean, I'm not a motivator. Not a motivator. Oh my God, I'm going to have a stroke. I'm not a motivator. Dude, I can't get it out. I'm not a motivational person. But at the end of the day, sometimes I can say the right thing. And it only takes me 45 minutes to get it across. I don't know why. But it does. Ladies and gentlemen, listen, I don't have anything else to talk about. I feel like my mouth is so dry. I've had one drink of water for the last 50 minutes. And I've just talked about so many good things. And I didn't even think I was going to at the end of the day. But I talked my thoughts through that I didn't even know I needed to talk about. And this is why I do it. This is why I love being in this space. Having passion for this one thing. But ladies and gentlemen, thank you for watching. I hope to see you on the next episode. This is my greatest achievement. This is my greatest project. This is the greatest thing in my entire life, and I'm so happy about it. And the people that tell me that they love it, and I'm not going out in public and having people recognize me, but the people that I do know, man, they've got nothing but good things to say about it, and I am so happy. Ladies and gentlemen, that is the episode. I love you, and I will see you on the next one. Bye-bye now!